We talk about ADHD, everyone with ADHD. The reason we have ADHD is because everything's designed for bite-sized transmission, and I think that's part of the problem. We don't have the opportunity to really go into this long form space and this liminal space that it opens up.
Mm. Well, I mean, with some debate to your statement of why we have ADHD being because of technology, I think people who actually have ADHD have it because of a combination of genetic and developmental conditions, but then people who otherwise don't have those genetic predisposition develop the behaviors because of how their brain, how they are training / their brain is being trained to operate based on the way these technologies sort of like guide how the brain, to go back to your reference to Marshall McLuhan, the medium is the message. Like it's not the content that we're consuming matters, but the means, the medium through which that content is coming in, it is a kind of sort of lesson. It's a kind of education on how the brain is supposed to engage reality. And, that from your phone to your next screen to the social media to the short form video and etc. trains our brains to be very similar to people who might have ADHD. Attentionally, not necessarily all the other things that come along with a genuine ADHD condition. And I believe that links back to what you said right at the opening, your first bite out of that big apple, was you mentioned that like technology is sort of like we're in a relationship where the technology is changing us. I can't, now it's been several minutes, can't remember the exact language that you use. The way that it had expressed sounded as if like technology sort of had the lead, where, I mean, I'd love to hear you comment a little bit more on how humans are directing technology from this is my sense, a very narrow kind of like window of value of like what is valuable and what values do we want to encase within our technology? What do we want our technology to achieve according to these value structures? And then as that goes along, there's this feedback loop where the technology sort of reinforces certain ways of thinking, certain values, certain patterns of perception, behavior, and response, that then sort of like cycles and the sort of loop gets tighter as it sort of carries us along. But it's not the technology itself, it's humans getting into this warped relationship with this warped expression of themselves through technology. That's my perspective. And I'm wondering if you agree with that or if you have a different sense of it.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's only when we're taken away from technology, when we don't have Wi-Fi, that we realize how addicted we are to data. And it seems like it's another stream of information that a lot of us depend on. I've just come back from Egypt, and the internet was so bad that I couldn't upload an image, let alone download a film, etc. So, and it's pretty much widespread across wherever I was, even if I was on Wi-Fi. And I think that is worrying, right? That a lot of us, when I had COVID, I felt as if all I could see was hallucinating was screens. I was just seeing constant screens as if that was all that was in my subconscious. And that was very worrying. So I think it is an attention war. I think a lot of these algorithms, a lot of these giant companies, we all know them, that are harvesting our attention, and our attention is linked directly to our consciousness. So unless you maintain mastery over your technology, and I see a large push from, maybe the alphas will undo the damage caused by the Gen Zers to a certain extent. I see a lot of younger people dumbing down their technology, going back to supposedly dumb phones, not having this constant distraction. And I think that, there are screensavers now that you can have on your phone that will grow a tree whilst you're not touching your phone. And if you don't touch your phone and a full tree grows, then a real tree is planted. So it's almost like we're children that have to be kind of guided away from technology using technology. I think that there's no real Luddite approach that will say that people, will just en masse leave the technology because we're so enmeshed in it and defined by it. Although one thing that seems to maybe on the cards is that AI will will render every image, every sound, and every video on a screen unreliable in terms of its authenticity, and maybe then we will just abandon screens. Maybe that's something that just will happen because people are just so unsure of what reality is, what the media becomes. And I'm now a professor of media in London, and it's an extraordinary time to be focused on media. Media, you could argue, has in some way always been the virus, but now it's much more potent as a mechanism for creating hallucination. And I think that that's the problem with AI, but also maybe one of the benefits is that we will have so much outsourced, so much of our intellectual, our cognitive work will be outsourced to AI that it leaves the body, it leaves the subjective experience, it leaves everything that the AI maybe never will have, never will be. And I think that will be a big celebration again of the felt experience, increasing your sensory apparatus and your range of being in the world.
Yeah, it would be great if the sort of the inclinations to rebelliousness of the youth ends up having Gen Alpha rejecting all the BS technologies that us millennials sort of set the stage to be just like indoctrinated or like integrated entirely into their childhoods. And your comment about like attention, you didn't say this word, but like your attention seeds your consciousness, like what you attend to and the quality of attention it asks of you to do so sort of like plants seeds and patterns in sort of what emerges out of consciousness is something I think about regularly. And the way that it sort of generally manifests is there's no phones around, there's no screens around. I'm having a nice conversation with a friend. We're talking about, real stuff. And then for whatever reason, something reminds me of this reel that I just watched. And so then we start talking about our favorite reels. Like I see the world through the associative processes through which I'm sort of like contextualizing my normal, actual, earth, wind, fire, water experience is digital content. Like I see the world through memes and reels, and that freaks me out. It's like the algorithm reaches so far inside of me that it starts coming out of me even when the technology isn't in the room. And I mean, that doesn't stop me from getting caught in the loop of it, but I mean, they are literally designed to be like gambling machines. They're designed to be addictive, like gambling is designed to be addictive, like slot machines. But beyond that, I remember having, not that long ago, having this experience of, I can't remember what it was, but I had just spent like the entire day away from my phone or whatever. And I was like walking through the forest. I was looking at a lot of plants. Oh, I was on a trip with my partner, and we did a lot of hiking, not a lot of phone time, a lot of screen time, face to face and nature. And when I laid down in bed at night, the things that were running through my mind were plants. I was seeing plants. I was seeing the patterns that I saw in the plants. I was seeing real stuff and realizing like that's not normally what I think about when I'm living in my sort of regular tech saturated life. And that, I felt like that was quite revealing. I mean, again, it doesn't stop me from getting caught in the loops of the thing. But it is concerning. I hold a lot of concern for it.
Yeah, I mean, it's. I remember watching one of the last TV shows I ever watched was the 10 Reasons Never to Watch TV, and the first one was that the average person watches TV for 4 hours, and likely, I mean, likely on your deathbed you're going to be not thinking, or your subconscious is again going to be full of the TV characters that you've been watching incessantly for 50 years or whatever, people that watch EastEnders or some of these terrible shows.
Oh, I'm so sad they didn't make a 4th season of Dark Matter. Oh.
So not to denigrate television, because I think there's a place for it, but it is the opium of the masses. And but yeah, I've had a life review, which was brought on for unknown reasons, but these life reviews are a known phenomenology, where you have your life presented back to you in reverse in these episodic chunks, and you can, you kind of have the overview effect present within those chunks. And the reason why I'm an obsessive journaler is because I want to maximize my day. Nietzsche may be right that amor fati is true, that we don't live have a reincarnation, but we live the same life eternally. The eternal recurrence he refers to it as. And even if that's completely absurd, just on the off chance that it's true, I think that it's absolutely, each day then becomes infinity, right? Each day you would want to live for eternity. So make sure you do what you want to do as if you were doing it forever. And then you would really maybe not watch EastEnders every night.
Hmm. This is a quote from you. "It is not that AI will destroy us, but it will make us insane." Can you explain that a little bit?
So that's not from me. That's from Gerard Larnier. But
pardon me. Yeah.
Yeah, that's fine. So yeah, I think that what he's referring to there is that there's so much hyperbole around AI at the moment, so much bad reporting designed to put you in a fear state. And of course, there are certain jobs, a lot of jobs that are endangered by this technology. But in terms of sentience, I think this is the truth of it is that it's machine learning that we're dealing with. It's not AI. It's not sentient. It's very unlikely to become sentient from the algorithms that are being propagated. It's language. It's these large language models that are mimicking us very cleverly. They mimic us, but they're working on the basis of all of that stolen culture, whether it's from music, from you name it. It's all been taken from the internet illegally, and it's created this mass hallucination of sentience, of humanity. And that's, I think, what will drive us insane. So it's not so much the actual reality of this technology, it's the perception of it that is being propagated through every dinner party conversation, where we're now questioning what are we then? What is the human if all of this can be done by machines? And I think that means that we have to be very careful about what we ask the machines to do. Do we want the machine to be the poet or the musician or the artist, or do we want to keep those roles for ourselves? There's a great meme that was like, I want the machines to do my washing up while I carry on creating. And of course we can create, and we can massively upscale our visions with these technologies as assistants, but not as the main artist. Or that's the main thing I think that is the worry, is that we will replace our main, in my opinion, our main reason for being here, which is to create.
Yeah, I actually, I work with AI in my writing, and I don't mean like, Claude, write me a 500 word blog entry, blah blah blah. But it's like, I'll say, like, I'll see the prompt, like, I'm working on, these are the topics, this is what I'm working on, and then I'll say, I'm looking for a word that fits in this sentence that isn't this word, but represents the larger topics that I'm discussing in an accurate way. Can you give me a suggestion of these words, what they mean, and why you feel like they would fit in that? So it's kind of just like a conversation that I have with a highly versed interactive thesaurus. Excellent way to use this tool. Absolutely. And yet simultaneously, I know that similar technology is being used to be like, plug and play, here's a prompt, now make me a 3-minute YouTube video or a 60-second reel that will trick a lot of people into thinking it's delivering high quality information. Especially, I would say, I see it in like health products and like marketing to wellness supplements and so on and so forth. So anyways, that's a reaction to a very small piece of what you said. On a larger end, there's this question of who are we? Like, what is this humanness that is us, right? And this actually brings me to the next question that I have. which is, earlier you used the term hyperhumanism, and it's a topic that you often talk about.